My name is Chris Gregory with Logistar Solutions. Welcome to our webinar on XPS, how to integrate your SAP small parcel and LTL shipping. Today's webinar will be focused on a number of key areas. And first of all, I wanted to introduce my fellow co-presenter, Rahul Agarwal from SAP Software, Chief Operating Officer, one of our key partners in the supply chain space. The focus of today's webinar will be primarily to help support SAP companies in the supply chain execution for performing small parcel and LTL shipping. Some of the key areas that we'll be looking at will be around implementing or improving packing capabilities, maintaining carrier compliance, integrating rate shopping, including meeting delivery commitments to your customers, optimizing costs and service levels to control freight spend, as well as looking at international shipments, improving track and trace capabilities, and standardizing processes. Before we continue, I wanted to point out that if you have any specific questions, please use the question capabilities on the right-hand side of the webinar. We will try to respond to as many questions as possible at the end. If we are not able to answer your specific question, we will follow up with you individually. Additionally, our sales support team will also send a copy of today's presentation to you so you can have and distribute to your colleagues. So let's begin. This is our agenda. I will provide a quick overview of Logistar Solutions. Then I'll turn the presentation over to Rahul, who will talk a bit more about the XPS solution, including key features and architect in all three SAP platforms, including an ECC, EWM, and TM environment. And again, as time permits, we'll open it up towards the end to submit questions via the webinar feature. Again, everyone is on mute, so the only way to ask questions is through that question capability. So let's talk a little bit about who is Logistar. Logistar is a certified SAP services partner focused exclusively on SAP supply chain and transportation management. Our sole focus in life is around these areas. We have a number of certifications, including that of both an SAP Special Expertise Partner, as well as a pre-release test partner, and a number of supply chain and transportation management product suites within SAP. Our primary solution focus is around supporting the extended warehouse management and transportation management products available from SAP. And many of our clients really represent a cross-section of the industries, including such specific areas as pharmaceuticals, food and beverage, wholesale distribution, and retail. When we talk a little bit more about Logistar, some of our key products and services are things around mobile data collection, voice picking, labor management, supply chain execution strategy, SAP logistics solution assessments, and certainly, as we're talking about today, small parcel shipping and transportation management. Now I'd like to turn the presentation over to Rahul Agarwal, COO of SAP Software.
Thank you, Chris. In terms of XPS, why SAP and Logistar have decided to include XPS as part of its solution offering? The reason being, SAP has invested a lot of time and money and really focusing on SAP TM. And SAP TM is the environment, is the system that will allow clients to perform all of their processes related to load optimization, vehicle space optimization, multimodal shipping, train, rail car, ocean, heavy freight, etc. But there is not a plug-and-play module for small parcel. That is the white space that XPS fills in. Key challenges why SAP has decided not to include that as part of a solution offering is because small parcel carriers like FedEx, UPS, DHL, TNT, and others they dictate the requirements. They have their own rating structure, they have their own label structure, manifesting structure, and you cannot twist their arms. All of these carriers are big enough that they will have their own set of requirements, and they can vary completely from each other. Anything FedEx communication method, FedEx end of day method is completely different than DHL. Similarly, UPS is completely different than TNT and vice versa. So anything that you're doing for one carrier may not be applicable in any quantity for the other carrier. So this is probably the biggest reason why there is not a plug-and-play model in SAP by SAP. Similarly, these carriers can change their rules, regulation, label format at any point of time. They give you sufficient notification to the clients and users, but still, if you have designed it yourself, you will always have to spend time in doing your development, getting recertified by the carriers. You will have to change your label formats, end of day, anything that is part of the new changes. Similarly, if you have integrated or done the development for one carrier in North America, for example, and if you try to implement even the same carrier, not even a different carrier, just the same carrier in Europe or in Asia Pacific, you will again have to go through development certification. So UPS in North America is different than, or DHL in North America is different than DHL in Europe and DHL in Asia Pacific, for example. So you will have to do the development again. You will have to go through the certification again, and in between, if something has changed or a new service has been offered by the carrier, you will have to continue constantly chasing them, finding out the requirements, continue the development, etc. So this becomes a lot of burden. This puts a lot of burden on your internal SAP COE team. Integration via web services. This is an approach that some of the clients have taken to integrate using the carrier tools directly from SAP. There are certain challenges with that. It does reduce your time in development, but in terms of challenges, in terms of limitations, it is really not suitable for high volume shipping. So if you have requirements where you are shipping, say, 100,000 packages from a warehouse or 50,000 packages from a warehouse, doing a lot of rate shopping calls for carrier optimization, for service optimization, your web services may not be the ideal path to go. Scales and printers, if you do the carrier implementation services, either they are going to send you the image as a label format, or they're going to send you the carrier printer specific language like ZPL or ZPL, and then you have to write code in SAP to send it to the printer. You also have to do additional development for any export documentation, hazmat, etc. So while you will take care of the carrier compliance portion to a limit, you will still have a lot of limitations in this approach. In terms of label design, to give you just some numbers, FedEx is changing their ground labels. They started in beta mode since last September. They have extended the deadline for clients to implement it in their system till March or April of this year. But still, some of the companies, they spent about 9 months in getting the label design included and approved by FedEx. So if you have designed a solution by yourself, you have to spend a lot of time and effort in getting your solution certified. So how does XPS eliminate that limitation? How does XPS gives you the maximum out of your SAP investment and carrier compliance? As part of the standard feature, as part of the standard offering by XPS, anything that is included in the small parcel and LTL shipping space is available by XPS. It has been designed completely within the SAP environment. So whether you're using ECC or you're using EWM or you're using SAP TM, you get all of the processes related to parcel and LTL shipping right from SAP environment. End user will never have to see anything but SAP screen. All of their rating, shipping, labeling, manifesting, rate shopping, freight audit will happen within your SAP environment. At the same time, you will have complete visibility on where the goods is within the supply chain process. So whether carrier has picked up, whether it has been shipped in the warehouse, waiting for the carrier to pick up, where it is in the carrier supply chain, at what hub they have scanned, whether it is delivered late. All of that information will be visible and available in your SAP environment in the standard SAP screen. So we don't want your users to go to custom screens to see their status. As soon as they go to sales order, delivery, shipment, or ODO in EWM environment, they will have that information right away. So in 3 points, what does XPS cover? It gives you complete carrier compliancy for all of the parcel carriers. It happens right from your existing SAP environment, whether you're using ECC, EWM, or TM, and you're getting complete end-to-end visibility within your, again, existing SAP environment. In terms of activities, as I said earlier, anything that is included at the parcel and LTL shipping space is part of XPS. That includes all of the carrier compliance validations, carrier compliance operations, anything that is needed by the carrier to pick up for all the carriers we support right now. We have support for almost all the global parcel carriers. XPS is getting integrated with a lot more carriers every day, as and when we are encountering them, as and when we are implementing at new clients. All of the end-of-day transmission, end-of-day reports that carrier needs to pick up, all the services and accessorial options that are offered by the carrier. For certain services even by UPS and FedEx, we believe XPS is the only software right now that allows certain services. And give you an example is UPS Express Critical. That is a white glove service that UPS offered to very few signature clients. XPS is the only software right now that supports that. So we are always making sure we give you maximum benefit for using a particular carrier. Domestic shipping, international shipping, export shipping, third party, consignee, collect, track and trace, rate shopping. All of these options are part of the standard software. In terms of hardware integration for scales and printers, we support all the scale manufacturers, so we are not going to force you to change your hardware in the warehouse. In terms of printers, we support almost all the label manufacturers, Eltron, Zebra, Intermec, Datamax, Sato, laser printers. So one of your warehouses may be using Zebra, another warehouse in Europe may be using Intermec, or your sales or remote sales office may want to print the labels on the laser printer. All of that is supported. So the key point here is whatever warehouse hardware you're using in the environment right now, that most likely will continue to work with XPS. Features, packing. So even though standard SAP has its own packing functionality via HUPAS, via VL02N, or in EWM they have packing work center or RF. In working with the SAP WM IM clients for the last 15 years, we all realized that customers have always been asking for more. So as part of the standard XPS offering, we give you a packing workbench in ECC that we think offers you a lot more functionality, a lot more capability than the standard SAP. And some examples are batch verification, CL number capture, integration with RFID reader if you have done that. Delivery consolidation without having to use shipments. So in standard SAP, you can't pack 2 deliveries into one package without using SAP shipments. So even though those 2 deliveries are going to the same destination, if you're not using SAP shipments, there's no way for you to pack into one package. Standard SAP simply doesn't allow you to do that. With XPS, we are able to bypass that limitation, and you can pack a set of deliveries together. So that is a very big advantage of XPS. You don't have to go to SAP shipment for packing deliveries together. Scale, scanner integration, you have the option to read scale at the time of packing, or you have the option to read scale at the time of shipping. So you have both of these options. Automated label printing, so if you're using an inline label applicator, XPS processing speed is fast enough for you to be able to utilize that rather than having to go to a manual labeling or workbench. Rate shopping, domestic US street level address validation. So UPS and FedEx, they charge you a fixed amount of money even if they have to make a very slight correction in the street. So instead of 123 Main Street, if they had to correct to 123 Main Avenue for the delivery, they will charge you $7 to $10 per package. So depending on how many addresses they have to correct, the penalty, the chargeback itself may amount to a big penalty. With XPS, all of those penalties will be eliminated because you can use XPS to do the street level address validation for domestic US addresses. Freight auditing, most of the companies, most of the clients, they still rely on 3PL or third-party companies to do their freight audit, and they get paid a big chunk of money, a big percentage, depending on whatever they save the clients. With XPS, you can bring that in-house if you choose to. So XPS will allow you to import the carrier invoices, run a detailed freight audit report for wherever carrier has charged you more than they should have, for the duplicate tracking numbers, for those packages where carriers were not able to meet their service performance report, on-time delivery. So you, as XPS, will allow you to bring all of that information within your existing SAP. In terms of manual shipping, again, we realize almost every SAP client has requirements to ship something that is not in SAP, like a non-stock item, promotional item, or simple documents that you may have to send, or invoices you may have to send to your vendors or customers. So rather than you having to go to carrier website, perform shipping, and lose that visibility in SAP, you can bring up XPS screen within SAP, whether you're bringing it in on your desk, in a mailroom environment, in the warehouse, doesn't matter. As long as you have access to SAP, you'll be able to bring that. Type the address or retrieve the address from the SAP Customer Master, select your carrier service, and ship it. XPS will create a delivery without reference for you in the background. So when you run your reports, when you run your analytics, when customer service is reviewing the data, all of that information will be visible right in your SAP environment. A snapshot of some of the carriers that we support right now. Almost all the global parcel carriers in North America: FedEx, UPS, USPS, DHL, TNT, all of the Canadian carriers, Purelator, Canpar, Canada Post, major Australian carriers, Star Trek, Courier Please, many of the European carriers, DPD, Thermoflex, Vedrova. So we are trying to add as many carriers as possible. And since XPS is a standard product, it's not a project, anything that we add in XPS as a standard feature, as a standard carrier, is available to you as part of the maintenance. So you have a very clear-cut maintenance path with XPS, and it is a product, not a project. We also have the framework to add new carriers. So if you have a generic carrier or a mom-and-pop carrier that does not have the infrastructure to support your shipping needs, you can request the rate files, you can request the label manufacturer, etc. from them, implement it in XPS using our global component, and then all of your shipping operation will become as if it is a certified carrier. So our aim is to make sure you're able to use XPS for all of your parcel and LTL shipping needs. In terms of a few technical details, XPS has been designed its own certified namespace. So when you're getting XPS, we send you the transports, your base system imports it in, and you have XPS. That's the only thing that is needed to import XPS in your SAP environment. And since it is in certified namespace, you're not getting a set of Z programs, you're not getting a set of Z tables, so that your internal SAP team doesn't have to worry about naming conventions, any contradictions with your existing environment, existing enhancements. We are not going to touch your existing enhancements. We are never going to touch any of the existing SAP objects. It sits within its own certified namespace as a separate package, as a built-in package within SAP. You can integrate our functions upstream in the supply chain or downstream in the supply chain. So by upstream, I mean you can integrate our rate shopping calls, our data validation calls, our address validation calls right at the sales order creation, at the sales order save. So when packages arrive in the warehouse, you have tried your best to minimize the bottlenecks. So as and when customer service is taking the orders from the customer on the phone or via your internal web portal where customers can enter the information, you can invoke calls to XPS, and you will be able to get the estimated freight charges. You will be able to validate whether the address is shippable, address is deliverable, or even the days in transit calculation. So our aim is to give you all the information at whatever point you have, whatever business process step you need, and you will be able to have that. By downstream in the supply chain, I mean, suppose it is time for you to do the carrier contract negotiation. So carriers have sent you a new set of files for, say, 2014. So what you can do is you can use our tools to run a month's worth of shipment or 6 months worth of shipments, again your new set of rates, and then compare them against your previous set of rates that were in the system. So you'll be able to see how much more carrier is going to charge you with the new set of rates, or what kind of bigger discount they are giving. So that way you can use our tools downstream in the supply chain for contract negotiation, for contract rate comparison between multiple carriers. So you will have all those tools in your system. It has been designed for very fast throughput. So we have clients right now who are shipping on an average of 80,000 to 200,000 every day as part of their normal shipping volume. And in the busy season, this volume may goes up to 250,000 packages every day from a single instance of XPS. So it has been designed for very fast throughput, and that is possible only if you're not going over the web services to the carriers for every transactions. If you have designed using the carrier web services, depending on the location, depending on where your data center is, depending on where carrier data center is, your performance may not be optimized. So, but with XPS, we wanted to distinguish ourselves in the industry. So whether you're shipping 1,000 packages a day, 200,000 packages a day, XPS will be able to handle that kind of volume. In terms of future-proof investment, that is where we are utilizing our close relationship with SAP. So anytime SAP is releasing a new, say, EWM version or new service pack, we have prior knowledge, and we try our best to make sure XPS is already compliant with that new patch, with that new service pack, or with even the new version. So XPS was one of the first software to have live clients in ECC, in EWM, and it has configuration, it has implementation right going on for SAP TM. So we want to help you maximize your investment in SAP environment while future-proofing your investment. Some of the advantages over a traditional shipping software. So every shipping software will give you, labeling, manifesting, end-of-day transmission. But with XPS, you have the option to use our shipping process either with our standalone screen in SAP, or you can tie it to your existing packing transactions if you have written a custom packing transaction, or you can tie it to RF. So with just one scan in RF, you are able to do your pick, pack, and the ship label will also come out. So again, anything that we are talking about here, we have clients who can validate and support that process. So we call it zero-touch or one-touch process, where client users in the warehouse, they have the mobile printers attached to their belt, and they have RF guns. They are just using those RF guns to pick, pack, and as soon as that HU is fully packed, shipping label already comes out with XPS. So user will never have to go to a standalone terminal. They will never have to go to XPS screen physically. You can tie our process to any of your existing business steps. Packing screen enhancements, as I mentioned earlier, you have the option to do serial number capture, serial number validation, multi-level packing, delivery consolidation, integration with RFID reader hardware if you choose to do that. So you get a lot more out of our packing screen than the standard packing screen. Upstream data validation, if you have web portals, you can make a call to XPS web services, and without customer service or without your customers actually have to connect to your SAP, you can integrate that with your web portals, with your internet portal, while all the logic, all the carrier rules, they reside in your SAP environment. Freight audit, track and trace, you have the option to bring all of those upstream in the supply chain. This is a snapshot of what kind of values you have available to display to the user, whether it is customer service or actual customers. We are able to calculate, we bring back about 7 or 8 different freight components back in the system. Contract rates, published rates, fuel surcharges, individual accessorial charges, days in transit, estimated delivery date, all of that information is bring back in your system, and then you can slice and dice the data any which way you feel. So if you have the rules set in the system, the certain kind of materials have to be delivered within, say, by 1 day or 2 days, system will only show you those services that can meet the transit days. Or if you don't, if it's not a time-sensitive material, you just want to take the carrier freight charges into account, system will tell you the cheapest carrier service. So we have a client who ships chocolates, and depending on the season, whether they are shipping to a winter state or summer state, depending on the season, carrier chooses, XPS chooses a different carrier service. So in summer, all the deliveries to New Mexico or Texas, they are shipped by a 1-day delivery, but in winter, anything that you're shipping to Colorado or say Idaho, they are shipped by 2 or 3 day services because it is not going to go bad. So not only we're taking days in transit, we are also able to take your business parameters like the weather, like the temperature of the delivery state. You have the option to do the rate shopping at the sales order because that is just an estimate because you have not actually packed it. You don't know how it will be actually packed once it gets into the warehouse. So you can perform the same delivery rate shopping at the delivery level. So at this point of time, your data should be as accurate as possible because it may be now packed. You know the individual dimensions, you know the individual weight, and when the carrier rates come back, you will be able to see the mode of transport for LTL, parcel, and the individual rates. This is how the data is stored and is visible to the customer service. So we don't want them to go to a different screen to see the information. We are updating the standard SAP sales order, delivery shipments. So this is a snapshot from the delivery. The same screen is available to you from the sales order menu. So some of the clients in their environment, CSRs, customer service, had access to only sales order. So the same screen can be seen from the sales order directly rather than customer service have to go to the delivery and see this. So at this point of time, you will see the individual freight charges, individual delivery date, the actual delivery date for the entire order, whether it has been delivered, running late, there's an exception, if it is in transit. So all the information that you want to see can be made visible here at the HU level, at the package level. In terms of its footprinting, right now we have more than 50 live clients, about 250 live sites worldwide. We have installations in North America, South America, many countries in Europe, Asia Pacific, and this is a list of countries that are current list of industries that are currently using XPS. The snapshot of some of our signature clients. Almost all of these clients have some unique functionality that they are using XPS for. So one of the clients is using XPS to ship 250,000, 200,000 packages every day. One of our clients in this list is using integration with the RFID reader. And we have some mini case studies later in the slide deck that I'll talk about briefly for some of these clients. If we talk about how you can utilize XPS in EWM, because you know SAP, most of the companies now are going for the next generation warehouse management, that is EWM, and we wanted to make sure SAP clients don't have to worry about, or they don't have to look beyond XPS. They don't have to worry which shipping software will be able to handle the complexities and the processing speed of EWM. Our XPS is completely compatible with EWM. XPS can reside completely within EWM environment and not have anything to do with ECC. So if you're using some other order entry system for ECC and using SAP EWM for your warehouse operations, XPS will fit into the framework. So you can use the standard EWM packing work center, you can use XPS shipping screen, or you can tie our operations to RF. So all of these three functionalities are available to you in SAP EWM. So this is a standard EWM packing work center. You will do your pick pack processes within EWM, and you can create a new tab within the same screen for XPS shipping. We can read the weight from the scale, and it has been designed for very fast throughput, very minimal user interaction. They make a ship button, and at that time they will get the freight charges, they will get the tracking number, they will get the build weight dimensions, anything that they need to see. So users will not have to leave, your warehouse users will not have to leave the packing work center, because that is where they'll be spending most of their time for pick and pack. For more complex shipping scenario where you are doing a delivery consolidation, that is a standard feature in SAP EWM, or you are doing the export shipping requirements, or you have to correct some data, maybe it came down from SAP as a different route or different carrier service that is not supported to a destination and you need to make a change. You can make a change on our screen to get that package out. So anytime where you need more user interaction, anytime you are doing a more complex shipping scenario, you'll always have the option to use our standard XPS shipping screen. Or you can tie it to your standard SAP RF transactions. So you will be using RF for your pick pack, and as soon as your HU is done for that particular HU, you can invoke an XPS call and you will get your validation, freight charges, tracking number, and shipping level right at that step. So again, we want to make sure whatever business process, whatever landscape you have implemented via SAP EWM, XPS will be able to handle the shipping requirements. After the goods issue, when EWM will send the data back to ECC, we piggyback on the same transaction and we send the shipping information back. So again, the idea here is, since we are very deeply involved with EWM development, EWM implementation worldwide, we know the inner workings of EWM, and we are not writing a new bash program that pulls the data from ECC from EWM. We are utilizing a standard call between SAP EWM and SAP ECC for transmitting the data back for shipping information as well. In terms of TM, you have multiple options on how XPS can be utilized with TM. You can use TM just for all of your planning. So the sales order, the delivery, they get sent to TM environment. TM will then install optimizer. It will find out the mode of transport, whether FTL, ocean, LTL, parcel. It will assign the carrier service. Data comes back to ECC, and you can use your execution in ECC. Or you also have the option to use SAP TM for all of your planning and execution. So your heavy parcel mode, your intermodal shipments will be handled by TM, and as a plug-in into TM, your parcel and LTL may be handled by XPS. So depending on how you have designed the business process, how you have designed the business landscape, XPS will fit into whether in ECC or TM or both. So this is a quick snapshot on how data will look, how steps will look between ECC and TM. So you will create a standard sales order in the ECC environment that will get dropped to TM automatically. And once the TM has this work list document that you can work on, you can run your optimizer, you can run your carrier selection, and in the background, TM will make a call to XPS because it knows a small parcel carrier, small parcel is handled by XPS. So from end user's point of view, it is one system, it is one set of screens, but in the background, XPS fits into TM for your own parcel capabilities. You will get your different freight charges, you will get your rate calculation for different components, fuel, accessorials, hazmat, base, discount, and end user never have to leave TM system. So again, one system, one field, and depending on the mode of transport, TM and XPS can divide the responsibilities between themselves. So you can utilize that for individual freight order. You can utilize that at the time of SAP optimizer, and you will be able to compare the rates for different mode of transport, whether it is FTL, LTL, and parcel carriers. Once you select the cheapest carrier, once you select the carrier and service, you can create the delivery proposal in TM, and it will automatically send the data across to ECC environment, and it will have the delivery created with the carrier and service populated. So you initiated the call from ECC system by a sales order that got dropped to TM. TM did the planning in the sense it determined the mode of transport, the carrier and service. Then it sends the data back to ECC, and you will have a delivery created in ECC with the optimal carrier and service. So in this environment, in this business flow, we use TM as a planning engine, and we use ECC as an execution engine. And as Chris said earlier, we will be posting the recording of this webinar on our website, so you'll be able to download it from there. So I am skipping some of the slides, or I may be skipping through a few of these slides, but you will be able to review them at a later time. If we talk about the most complex scenario where you have ECC, EWM, and TM, all these three environments within your SAP landscape, how will a typical parcel implementation will look with XPS? From parcel point of view, good news is for SAP clients, XPS supports all of these three environments, so you can pick and choose which SAP component, which SAP system is being used in which environment. So this is probably what we think is the most complex scenario, where you are creating the sales order in ECC. You are sending all of these sales orders, purchase orders, TOs to TM to do your optimization, to do your carrier assignment. It selects a carrier and service, modes of transport, sends the data back to ECC, delivery is created. That delivery gets distributed to EWM automatically. Then you perform your warehouse task, pick, pack in EWM. You do your shipping operations in EWM because that is your execution engine for warehouse. You get your freight charges, tracking numbers, labels, your end of day transmission. Everything is happening from EWM. At the time of goods issue, data will be sent back to your ECC delivery automatically as part of the goods issue transaction. And then you will be able to do your track and trace, your freight audit in ECC. So you have components of XPS within each SAP environment, depending on how you have designed your business process. So to recap, before we go into the mini case studies, to recap, with XPS, you have one single platform for all of the multiple SAP environments. So whether you're using ECC, EWM, TM, it doesn't matter. XPS is compatible with all of those. You have one set of carrier engines, carrier rate files, so you don't have to put duplicate efforts in maintaining the rate files in multiple systems and putting the carrier rules in multiple systems. Everything is handled by one single instance of XPS. We are utilizing standard SAP communications, so you don't have to worry about putting XI, PI. You don't have to worry about using web methods, business connectors, WebSphere with XPS. All we need is the standard SAP tools, and your XPS will be able to communicate. Some of the case studies, these are the case studies that we like to highlight. This is a leading manufacturing company for school furniture. So they were using about 12 to 15 LTL carriers and all the ground services. And in their pre-XPS environment, they had absolutely no visibility on what carrier is being chosen, why it is being chosen, what are the benefits. So most of their users, they were going by the historical information, by the historical experience in selecting the carrier and service, and there was no system accountability. They implemented XPS and their savings were enormous. So they were able to, their ROI was less than 2 months for the entire implementation for the entire project, and they were able to reduce workforce by 20% within 3 months. So XPS was able to give them best carrier service without having to manually make any decisions. They were able to use XPS for freight audit. They were able to use XPS for data validation, etc. at the time of sales order and delivery, and they were using XPS for the purchase order validation as well. So they were able to rate shop their purchase order and tell their vendors on what carrier and service to use to ship. This is the scenario for one of the pharmaceutical industries where we enhanced our packing work center to do integration with their RFID reader hardware. So there was a choice between SAP AII and XPS. So the overall implementation for SAP AII was going to be in the range of $1.5 million just for their RFID reader interface. With XPS, it was about 23% of that entire cost. They had many other system challenges as well. They ship very high valued items. So one of their packages, one of their pallet can cost $1 million. So it can have goods of about $1 million in one package. So they have to serialize every item. And so in one pallet, in one package, they may have up to 60 to 70,000 serial numbers. And standard SAP was not able to handle more than 15,000. So without our enhancement, a delivery with 50,000 serial number was taking about an hour and a half, and sometimes it will give you a short dump. So we enhanced their system. We provided a lot of tools to them. So now for 60,000 serial numbers, it takes about 23 minutes to PGI to goods issue, and for anything less than 50,000, it is taking about 8 to 9 minutes. So they were very, very happy with the outcome, and they use XPS packing screens. We do the integration with the RFID reader. We read all the serial numbers. We update SAP. We do the packing, shipping. So they are able to tie each tracking number with the actual serial number. So they have complete visibility within XPS. Another pharmaceutical industry, they have about 60 locations of all of their signature warehouses, about 5 worldwide globally, a couple in North America, a few in Europe. They use EWM. And the other locations, about 50 plus, were going to use ECC. So it was a 4-year, 5-year rollout. So they have one set of engine, that is XPS, to handle all of their shipping needs in ECC and in EWM environment. So they are utilizing probably 25 plus carriers worldwide, and all of their carriers will be implemented in XPS. For a retail client, they designed SAP EWM for very fast throughput. This client takes order and they have to ship on an average about 15 to 30,000 packages every day. They are using EWM where they don't want users to go to a different screen. So as part of the EWM packing work center, users will do pick pack and the ship call will be initiated in the background, label comes out. The key thing for this client is all of their operations were by one carrier, namely Canada Post. And last year in October or September, Canada Post had a strike for 4 or 5 days. So this client was in a bind on how to switch the carrier, what to do to get the goods out. They were able to configure UPS from scratch in XPS in less than 2 hours. So they did not, so UPS was not configured in their system at all, but since we are a certified component for UPS from start to scratch, they were able to configure in 2 hours. So they did not miss a single package, even though their carrier that they were using had a strike. And this is the last client. So this client is implementing TM and ECC, so they wanted to use XPS and TM. So, but based on the timeline, the TM implementation timeline was about 14 months, and some of their warehouses, they could not wait that long. They, for some urgent shipping needs, they needed to implement a shipping solution very rapidly. So they were able to go live from blueprint in about 10 to 12 weeks in ECC. So about 3 of their locations, they went live in 12 weeks. And after that, they started a TM rollout in some of their other signature warehouse locations. So they are using XPS in ECC environment as well as in TM. So I think we are right now at 1:45, 15 minutes remaining. So if we can take time to answer, to tackle questions and answer, that would be great.
Sure. I know that Mariangela has been sent out a note and just reinforced that if you have any specific questions, you can use the question feature on the right-hand side. We've already received a number of questions. I will try to move through those as quickly as possible. I'll ask the question and either Raul or myself will answer those. Again, if we do not, if we run out of time on today's webinar, certainly we can get back to you on an individual basis with any specific questions you have. And again, we will be providing a copy of the webinar to all participants today. Raul, if you can skip off to the next slide, the last final slide. I want to make sure everybody has that. Certainly, you could always go to our website, logi-star.com, or send an email to info@logi-star.com as well if you have any specific questions. So I'm going to, I'll tackle the first question here. Is says I'm currently, and again I'll paraphrase these questions, but the first question is, I am currently on ECC 5.0. Which specific SAP releases does XPS support? The quick answer is XPS was actually launched over 6 years ago and is now compatible with SAP 4.6c and above. So we have a number of clients live and running clearly in both ECC 5.0 and ECC 6.0. But one of the real benefits of the XPS solution is that because of its unique architecture, because it's a built-in SAP solution implemented directly within your own certified namespace, as you move forward with additional upgrades to future SAP releases, XPS will move forward with you. Okay. Okay. Here's the next another question. It says, do I need to be running WM or EWM in order to use XPS? Raul, maybe you want to tackle that question?
Sure. So no, if you're running ECC, We support IM environment, WM environment, or retail, AFS, all of those are supported. So in ECC, all we need is a sales order and delivery. So as long as you have that, you'll be able to use XPS. It also, we have clients also using it in a DWM environment, a distributed warehouse management, so it supports that as well. If you have EWM, you have the option to use only in EWM. You have the option to use components in ECC or in EWM.
All right, great. Here's a question, a good one on an international basis. This question is, I'm based in Europe, and most of our shipments are sent via DHL and TNT, along with some smaller European-based regional carriers. Does XPS support carriers other than just UPS and FedEx? Raul, do you want to handle that one?
Sure. So we support almost all the global parcel carriers. That includes complete support for DHL and TNT from Europe. And we have quite a few additional carriers like DPD, Transoflex, Vedrova, DSP, SS, DHL Freight, and we are adding more and more carriers every day. So again, our aim is to make sure all of your parcel needs are supported by XPS, regardless of the region, regardless of the carrier.
Okay. And follow-up question here from someone else similar is, how do you ensure your rates are correct and up to date with the various carriers such as FedEx, UPS, etc.? Raul, do you want to handle that?
So it varies. Sure. So it varies from carrier to carrier. So, and it also varies whether we are talking about published or discounted. So published rates are always automatically updated with XPS. So as and when carriers are changing their published rates, we will release a patch. You will have to install a patch, and you'll have the published rates. For carriers like FedEx, they will automatically push down the published rates as part of the end-of-day transmission. So when you do end-of-day, at that time, carrier call will come in. It will update the zones. It will update the latest hubs. It will update the fuel surcharges. It will update the published. So all of that will be updated automatically. For contract rates, depending on again on the carrier to carrier, answer is different. As and when your contract rates are changing, probably once a year or once in 3 years, they will send you the updated contract rate files. You will click on a button in XPS, and your updated rates will be loaded. We struggle with the idea of loading the contract rates automatically, but based on our discussions with most of our clients, they wanted to have control over that for their testing and when to upload. They did not want to get the rates loaded without their internal testing first. So we made it a step where all you have to do is click on a button, but it is not automatic by choice.
Okay. Here's another question. Here is a little more technical, but it's the question is will XPS support STO deliveries rather than sales order deliveries?
That is correct. As long as there's a delivery or a shipment in the system, the preceding document doesn't matter to us at all. It will matter in the sense for export delivery, you will have to tell us where to get the export commodity information, where to get the customs value. So you will have to let us know whether the customs value is stored in a pricing condition in your purchase order, or it is stored in a pricing condition sales order, or we have to get it from the material master selling price. So as long as we know where the data source is for the export value, for the customs value, we'll be able to pull it up. But whether the preceding document is purchase order or STO sales order doesn't matter to XPS.
Okay. Here's another one. My company is a chemical manufacturer. Does XPS handle hazmat or specific special documentation requirements? Raul, you want to handle that?
Sure, yes. So anything that is needed by the carrier to pick up the packages from the hazmat point of view is supported by XPS. So that includes printing of the red border hazmat forms for ground, for air. That includes printing the end-of-day hazmat manifest. That includes the data validation for certain carriers, or if you're using EHS, we can put in the data for EHS. But in short, anything that is needed by the carrier to pick up the packages, any documentation for hazmat is included by XPS.
Okay. Another question here. Are there any additional infrastructure or server components required to support XPS?
Yes, so due to our architectural choice, due to our design on, we don't want to send the each and every request over the internet, over the carrier web services. XPS does need one Microsoft server within your firewall. So it can be a virtual web slice. We support all of the latest one up to 2008 R2 version so that it resides within your firewall so that we are not sending the request over the internet. So as long as we need that server to install the carrier rating engines, all of the integration will happen between SAP and carrier rating engines.
Okay. Here's a question. Raul, I'll give you a break here. This question is, what kind of product maintenance and support do you provide? XPS provides a wide variety of annual support plans. XPS releases 2 major and 2 minor product releases per year. Like other SAP-supported products, these are released via service pack updates. In addition, we provide a manned help desk coverage with a sophisticated issue tracking system to monitor all queries. The XPS support plan is really designed more as a Tier 3 support plan. Again, the main advantage of XPS is because it's a built-in SAP solution. Most of the issues are usually user-inflicted, and very few times do we have any issues with the product because, again, we're really leveraging what I like to call the SAP ecosystem that you've already built to surround the XPS packing and shipping functionality. All right, just a few more minutes here. It's a broad question. We didn't really address it, but I believe the answer here is, how about cartonization? Does XPS handle cartonization at all?
Sure. So that is one of the white spaces in SAP ecosystem, again, similar to parcel shipping. So as part of the standard XPS product, it does come with the basic cartonization tool that you can use to expect the packages, to estimate the number of packages and the dimensions at the time of sales order rate shopping. So that basic cartonization tool is included with XPS. But for more robust cartonization, we have another complete separate module called product called cartonization product. So that is again fit into your SAP environment, and that will give you all your multiple axis rotation, material incompatibilities, comparison between the proposal and how it was actually packed. So all of those complex features are included in that particular product. And XPS does come with the basic cartonization tool that how to estimate the number of packages just by the total weight, or you can include the individual material dimensions as well while calculating the which packaging material to use. But the included functionality for cartonization in XPS is not designed to handle your multiple axis rotations, etc. So for that, you will have to use our cartonization product.
Okay. Looks like one final question here was submitted. The question is, how does the track and trace functionality work within XPS?
So we have two different tools for track and trace. One is what we call on-demand tracking. So this is a scenario where a customer is calling your customer service asking for the status of the package. So usually, traditionally, customer service person has to go to either your intranet or they will have to go to carrier website, manually enter the tracking number and see the status. With XPS, you'll be able to go to sales order, delivery, shipment, right-click on a tracking number, HU number, and system will take you to the carrier website with all the information filled in about that carrier. So that way, with right customer on the phone with your customer service, you'll be able to see the status. This functionality is available to you for any carrier that has such a website, whether it is LTL carrier, mom and pop carrier, big parcel carrier, doesn't matter. All it needs is a link to their website. We also have what we call batch tracking. So we provide you a batch program that you run based on usually what service you use, based on what kind of carrier you use. You can decide how often you want to run that batch program. You can divide that program execution based on multiple account numbers, for example. So if you have one account number that you use just for express shipping, you may want to run it as, say, 10:30 a.m. If you have account number just for ground, you may want to run it as 5:30 p.m. So you have that complete control. And anytime you're executing that batch program, we bring back the latest status of the package in your SAP environment, whether it has been delivered, the actual date and time it was delivered. If it is running late, there's an exception. If it is in transit, what's the latest hub? So our batch program will bring that information. And then next time when you go to the delivery, sales, or the shipment, you will see that information.
Great. Okay. Well, it looks like we're out of time on today's webinar. Certainly, there's a few other questions that we'll be addressing on an individual basis, and we'll be contacting you separately. I do appreciate your time and attention on today's webinar. Again, this presentation will be sent to everyone that had participated. We'll also make this webinar available on demand on our website, logi-star.com. And again, I encourage you to contact us at any time at our email address at info@logi-star.com. Again, I really appreciate your time and attention today and look forward to speaking with you soon. This concludes today's webinar.